Buenas, welcome again, guys. Okay, and this time we're gonna be reviewing everything related to electrolytes. This is necessary for the NCLEX because electrolytes is a major part of our human body, and knowing the signs and symptoms and what's going on, knowing what the heck is going on in your body, it's important for nurses and doctors. So you have to know it, you must know it, and in this lesson we're gonna be reviewing that. Así que, como siempre, esta presentación es en spanglish para que vayan agarrando los conceptos del NCLEX y para que muchas cosas que quizás requieran un poquito más de profundidad lo vayan procesando mejor. Hay muchas cosas que yo he estudiado en inglés y que en español me va a costar que me salga, así que paciencia. Alright, let's begin. So, electrolytes. Electrolytes are essential minerals for the body, like sodium, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. Those are very vital to maintain many key functions in the body. Functions like respiration, digestion, heart rhythm, brain function, digestive system, and so on and so on. So imagine if something like electrolyte is altered in the body, one of those functions is going to be not working properly. O sea, que hay que ponerle cuidado y entender los electrolitos, entenderlo y por supuesto memorizar the results, memorizar the values. Muchos de ustedes van a saber, but here we're going to go in depth, okay? Profundidad. Why electrolytes are important? They do a lot in the body. They regulate muscle contractions and keep you hydrated. Electrolytes also help balance your pH levels. You know, the pH and respiratory acidosis, metabolic alkalosis, all of that that's the next lesson. But for that lesson to be teach, this one has to be reviewed. What are some signs of low electrolyte levels? Most commonly, guys, you're gonna see people like in an altered mood. They're gonna be with fatigue, they're gonna be sweating. Normally, if you see a patient that is sweating, it will have an electrolyte imbalance or perhaps sugar. So this always gonna have to do with the system inside. Diabetes is based most in the sugar and insulin. But then electrolytes is based on sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. How do we lose electrolytes? This is just to understand a little bit. We mostly lose electrolytes through sweat, urine, and breathing. This is something that they miss here, but those are the natural forms that you can eliminate electrolytes. And of course, we have the problems when you become sick, when you become ill, which is vomiting and diarrhea. So if you have a patient vomiting and diarrhea and the patient is confused, that's a red flag for nurses. NCLEX style question. So if you get the confused patient after having vomiting for 2 to 3 days or having diarrhea, your answer will point to electrolytes, and that's a real emergency. You must act fast as a nurse. How do we get the electrolytes in the body? For the average American, average human being, you can get all electrolytes you need through nutrition diet, especially when eating healthy whole foods. Whole foods means vegetales, verduras, frutas. Eso es lo que quiere decir whole foods. Comidas completas. Porque en realidad el concepto de comida o alimento es todo aquello que sea capaz de nutrir el cuerpo y nourish your body. O sea, que esa porquería que venden en McDonald's, carbohidrato puro, eso no es nutritivo y eso no debería ser considerado comida. Entonces, cada vez que tengan preguntas del NCLEX que ustedes necesiten responder terapéuticamente, es either replace electrolytes or to educate the patient about good eating habits. Good eating habits. Buenos hábitos alimenticios. And then we speak up here, there's a small review about sport drinks, but that's not important to us. Maybe you can get in the NCLEX sport athlete that just came from a marathon and he's been drinking a lot of electrolytes drinks like Gatorade. If you get this is a real red flag question, because the patient might have real high sodium or perhaps high potassium, and we're gonna go over all that in a minute. Now, what are the values of those important electrolytes? Remember, electrolytes are ions, and they are inside the cells. They are superposed inside and out of the cell. And then usually when one ion comes out of the cells, one gets in and two, or maybe two less or two more. That's really not important, because this is not a biochemistry exam. No es un examen de bioquímica, ¿verdad? Entonces, ¿qué es lo más importante? We have to know the value and what causes this. What happens when this is altered? Here, we can see the major electrolytes in the body. We have calcium, we have chloride, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and sodium. Also, it's very important to memorize el valor numérico químico, the chemical value. For example, for calcium is Za, Ca, the number 2, and then plus sign. Chloride is Cl, magnesium is Mg, phosphorus is P, potassium is K+, and sodium is Na+. Why this is important? Because sometimes you will get like only the value, the chemical value. You won't get the name. So for this reason, this is important. Memorize it and understand it. Values: calcium 4.5 to 5.5. Chloride is 97 to 107. Magnesium is 1.5 to 2.5. Phosphorus is 1.8 to 4.6. Sodium and potassium 3.5, 5.0 the potassium, and the sodium is 135 to 145. There's a page in the guide that I gave you that has this. And again, this is the book that I gave it to you, that I sent to you. So you have this book, know how to use it. This is so good. That's why I love to have this book in a digital format, because you can zoom in out like this if you can see, or you can go here and then you can shadow and select anything and start working from there. Alright, so let's start here. Sodium is the most abundant cation in extracellular fluid. Extracellular means that it's outside the cell. Sodium pump is the most body cells pump sodium out of extracellular fluid. And then it mentions action potential, nervous, muscle fibers. What you really need to know about sodium is like sodium is mostly related to muscle contraction. Okay, so muscle contraction is very, very important for all muscle contractions. So what muscles we have in the body besides the one in the arm? A ver, ¿cuáles son los músculos del cuerpo? Un músculo que nos importa muchísimo. The heart. Yeah, the heart. My heart beats all over my skin. You can see it here. I'm just joking. Bueno, entonces continuar. It helps regulate a acid-base balance by exchanging hydrogen ions for sodium ions in the kidney tubules. So anything that affects the kidney will automatically affects the calcium, the sodium. I'm sorry, we're talking about sodium. So what to have in consideration when we're talking about sodium? So we're gonna come here, and this is a pretty nice image that I wanted to share with you about the values and the numerical and chemistry value. Here magnesium, sodium, potassium, and calcium. And so we're talking about sodium. So what's important about sodium? Hypernatremia. Hypernatremia. Many of you already know the name, but you know that Na here, but it says Na is sodium. So when sodium is very high, you will see a lot of different signs and symptoms. For this, there's a mnemonic that you guys should remember, which is fried salt. Now, why fried? I like to pick salt, to pick fried, because basically it doesn't matter if the sodium is up or is down, it will melt your brain. So if a patient is urinating a lot, if a patient is putting a lot of urine out, the sodium will go up. Why? Well, imagine if you have a cup of water and then you add salt to that cup of water. The salt will go to the bottom of the cup, right? So if you start pouring that water out of the cup, the quantity of salt in that water will be more concentrated. It will be whatever you take, if you sip it, will be saltier, right? Si la toman y la prueba, va a ser un poco más salada. So this is the same with the body. This is another reason why I instruct. I'm kind of a personal trainer for some people, and when I'm training them, I instruct them. If you're not working out enough, you shouldn't be drinking a lot of water, because drinking a lot of water causes the opposite effect. So when you drink water, your body, your kidneys will pour out all that liquid out to balance the body. But some people, they have kidney problems, some people they have issues, and then they cannot put that urine out. So when the patient is urinating a lot, what's the name of that? Polyuria. When the patient is urinating a lot, the sodium will accumulate in the body, causing hypernatremia. So in that case, you will see those signs and symptoms that are characterized by the fried word. The brain will fry, even if it's up or down. The patient will have seizure, convulsiones, va a convulsionar muchísimo. Here you will see that it's gonna be flushed skin and fever. Flushed skin is like red. You know, when a white boy, a little white baby gets fever, you see the cheeks, they turn red. That's flushed skin. It's hard to tell in patients with dark skin color like mine. Even though if I get flushed, you will see my ears turning super red. All right. And then the fever will always be low grade. You won't see like 39, 40 degrees Celsius degree. It will be like more like 38, something like fogaje. Patient will be restless, irritable, anxious, and confused, and then close to seize. Seizing is a major complication. So remember, it affects the brain. Sodium affects the brain very much. Increase blood pressure and fluid retention. Edema, peripheral and pitting edema. Decrease urine output and dry mouth. And now is the time for hyponatremia. Remember the word fried. In hypernatremia, I instruct you that when the patient is urinated a lot, it will get hypernatremia. Once he gets the hypernatremia, the urine stops going out and it causes decrease in urine output, which is the D for the fried word. Now, something to have in consideration: some patients will have hypernatremia, meaning sodium very high, and it will keep urinating. If that happens, that's because there's a problem with the kidneys, or perhaps a neurological problem that is causing that effect. Now, let's get review hyponatremia. All right. This very particular image here will show you, like, they're called mnemonics, and they will help you understand more the disease process. Now, remember, fried is the word for alteration of sodium. If it goes up, it will fry your brain. If it goes down, it will fry your brain as well. So remembering the normal value is very important. Now, signs and symptoms. We will see patients with lethargy, headache, confusion, apprehension, and seizures, and even coma. So if sodium gets to get really low, you will see patients ceasing. The patient will be confused. So this is something to have in mind. Why the sodium suddenly will go down? Well, normally when sodium goes down, sometimes it's related, like if you will see in the NCLEX, a sport athlete maybe going to work out and working out a lot without drinking water. Like it happens to a friend of a friend. He went to compete to one of those competitions like a Ironman, which is like a triathlon. Basically, a person will run for 3 days and sometimes having to rest like 4 hours. So these people go swimming for 7 hours, then go running for 6, and they go to the bike and they do like 5-6 hours in a bicycle. Then go rest 4 hours, and the next day they do the same. Well, this person suddenly collapsed on the floor and it went ceasing, and it has to be taken to the hospital, ICU, intubation, induced coma, and then it recovered. The sodium level was at almost 5 to 6. He almost died because of that. So training a lot under the sun, especially during the summer when it's a lot of heat, the body sweats a lot. The person tends to lose a lot of sodium through the sweat. And then you will see the person confused and with lethargy, which is like yawning. A lethargy is like flojera, laziness. That you will see the person like yawning all the time. Signs like he's exhausted. This is a real alert that the patient's sodiums could be getting down. Hyponatremia occurs when serum sodium is less than 135. So imagine this patient patient or friend of a friend, sodium was around 15 to 25, was on the floor. This patient almost died. Sodium is caused by dilution as a result of excess water. So this is contrary. So when you're urinating a lot, you're putting a lot of liquid out of your body, and the sodium stays in the body. This causes the body to accumulate the sodium, and for instance, it causes hypernatremia, like I explained in the previous video. In this case, when the patient cannot urinate, maybe has kidney disease and he has to go through dialysis, and then he accumulates liquids. Watch the water intake, you guys, the ones that are working out and always carry that big pint of water. Watch out. So excess water in the system, this dilute. So the same example as the cup with salt. Let's say that you have a mid-sized cup, and then you add this percentage of salt. If you add the same amount of water, you will have an equilibrium there. But if you add more water, this the water inside the cup will be less salty. This is because the more water it is, the less salt it feels. Same with the body, guys. if there's a problem in the extracellular fluid, or the patient is not urinating a lot, or maybe is drinking a lot of water, for any reason that it is, this will cause the sodium to go down, bajo, en el piso. ¿Qué van a ver el paciente? Gastrointestinal suctioning. This could be one of the reasons. There's some patients in the ICU. Why this is important? You will see a question in the NCLEX saying, okay, you have a patient that is in constant suction. You notice that the patient is ceasing, and then what would you do? Stop this, check the sodium. What would you do? So you have to know that hyponatremia could be caused by suctioning. It could be caused also by diarrhea, inadequate salt intake. Some people like me, I don't eat salt. The reason why I try to eat healthy, but any food that you eat nowadays has salt in it. So stay away from salt and try to intake of salt is necessary. So people that doesn't eat enough salt, they will have hyponatremia. And then, of course, fluid retention causes by intracranial pressure. You see ICP, intracranial pressure sometimes causes one of the two, or you retain urine or you expel a lot of urine. In this, the reasons why I was explaining in another lesson, because this is getting a little too long. I don't like to extend myself in long videos, because I think that for every single thing that you learn, you have to go and study. So after you close this, go and review hyponatremia, hypernatremia, and electrolytes. And then the other reasons could be diuretics, and then vomiting. Like I said, that was one of the explanations at the beginning. Like causing fluid electrolyte imbalance is diarrhea and vomiting. In this case, diuretics, because they cause the patient to eliminate a lot of fluids. All right. So don't forget about the importance of knowing the name, the letters, the chemical value of all those electrolytes. In the video, we will see potassium, magnesium, and calcium.